This game needs no introduction, so I'll just get straight to the review. Not quite an HD collection since the game runs at a base resolution of 720 by 448 on the PS Vita, but slightly higher than the PlayStation 2 versions, which ran at 640 by 448. When you look at it, Metal Gear Solid HD Collection on the PlayStation Vita isn't really an HD. It's actually closer to being a higher definition collection of the PlayStation 2 originals. But really, who cares? Does pixel density really matter so much when you're staring at a 5-inch screen? One look at Sons of Liberty playing on the PS Vita and you won't care what resolution it's running at because the game looks so damn good. Slowdown is kept to a minimum during gameplay, especially when the action gets intense. A few low-res textures do creep up in certain areas, but for most of the time, the game looks gorgeous. Some shots, if you look closely enough, you'll notice the resolution drop ever so slightly. Straight lines show jagged edges, which is apparent in Sons of Liberty since a lot of the architecture is linear. It's really subtle and you'll actually have to look for it. On the other hand, Snake Eater fares a little better in this department. Geometry in the environments are more complex, trading in the linear building structures for more organic wilderness scenery. The forest is filled with vegetation, giving it a dense and lively look. Jagged edges are also harder to spot thanks to clever use of bloom lighting. Although this technique might help smooth out some of the rough edges, color and detail appear slightly washed out because of the increased brightness. And of course, some low-res textures do creep up from time to time, but other than that, Snake Eater looks amazing as well. As a whole, this HD collection looks superb on the PlayStation Vita.
Life is short.
Everything you remember hearing in these two classic titles made it over to the PlayStation Vita. It was definitely a trip down memory lane as I listened to all of the Kodak conversations again. Impeccable voice acting gives the game a movie quality feel. The same can be said about the musical score. Each title screen starts off with a theme that will instantly send shockwaves of nostalgia down your spine. If you're used to the smooth and responsive controls of Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, then you're in for a big surprise here. Aiming in first person is slow, stiff, and at times a little awkward. The whole process of finding a target and adjusting your aim feels so archaic by today's standards. Newcomers to the franchise will immediately be turned off by the controls. Just be aware, they're a result of the times they were created in. This is how Metal Gear Solid games played back then. Stay calm, and please be patient. The controls will take time getting used to. The one thing I have to warn veterans about are the analog sticks on the PS Vita. They're just too sensitive. Doesn't help that they're kinda small too. You'll notice the sensitivity when you're picking targets in first person. The problem is even more apparent when you're using your sniper rifle. Other annoyances occur when the camera is in third person. The whole process of moving around the environment just feels so sticky to me. I always find myself accidentally pressing against a surface when all I wanted to do was walk around it, and too often would I go into a crawl instead of standing straight up. One welcome addition I might add is the inclusion of the front touch controls. You use it for selecting and deselecting equipped items. It works pretty well, and to my surprise, pretty accurately. Try tapping the touchscreen during cutscenes to zoom in for a better look. You can also swipe the screen to peek around corners, and the back touch allows you to perform silent takedowns in Metal Gear Solid 3. I was totally unaware of these two features until after I finished the game and went back and read about them on the internet. Little did I know there's actually a menu that demonstrates all the specific movements you can do in each game. If you're having trouble pulling off some of the moves, then I suggest you take a look at some of those videos. The opening shot in Sons of Liberty, where Snake is walking in the rain, brought a nostalgic tear to my eye. It reminded me why I fell in love with the franchise in the first place. Some gameplay mechanics might seem rudimentary by today's standards, but they're classic Metal Gear Solid. Those who've been with the series from the beginning will be a lot more forgiving. And for those jumping in for the first time, well, what else can I say? This is how these games played back in the day. Get used to the top-down view in Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. Get used to having to constantly go into the menu to switch in and out of camouflage in Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Get ready for long-winded dialogue, convoluted character backstory, 20-minute cutscenes, and epic boss battles. The thing I love about these games is that it makes you feel like you're in an action spy movie. Everything about it is so carefully planned and choreographed. Musical cues kick in at exactly the right moment. Like a fine wine, these two games only get better with age, showing the world how far ahead they were in terms of narrative and storytelling. After playing through the game again in almost 15 years, I finally understand what Metal Gear Solid 2 is all about. They're talking about the internet and censorship, right? Metal Gear Solid 3 is a little more straightforward. You play as Snake, sent in to kill your friend and mentor, the boss. It's a port of Subsistence, which was released years later on PS2 with extra features and a few gameplay changes. Most notably, the new camera system, which is a godsend if you couldn't stand the fixed overhead view from Sons of Liberty. The cross-save feature allows you to save your progress on the Vita and resume playing on your PlayStation 3, or vice versa. I'm sensing a lot of toilet gaming opportunities here. Unfortunately, fans expecting to play Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker will be disappointed, as it's not included in this collection. But hey, look on the bright side. At least the developers included the original MSX2 ports of Metal Gear 1 and 2. They offer a good diversion when you need a break from the main game, but I don't think you'll be spending too much time here. I tried, and trust me, I only played it for like 2 seconds. The main bulk of your time will be spent with Sons of Liberty and Snake Eater. If you haven't played these two games yet, then you owe it to yourself to pick up this collection. There's really no excuse. If you're short on time, set the difficulty to very easy and just blow through the game. At least experience the story so you can see what all the commotion is about. Metal Gear Solid HD Collection for the PlayStation Vita comes. Highly recommended.